Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host as always, Daniel Levi, and joining me now is the Menifee maniac, Fernando Gonzalez. Fernando, welcome back to Half the Battle.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So how's it going, man? You're coming off the big win, but you're already back in fight camp getting ready for another one. How are things going?
Man, everything's going great, man. Honestly, I prefer that. I'd love to stay busy, and you're going to get less ring rust, and you're going to get a better performance out of me. So I prefer to fight regularly.
Well, we got a lot to talk about, man, because look, obviously, you just whooped on Brandon Gertz. You're fighting Brennan Ward. But before we talk about all that, what happened with the Koreshkov fight, man? I was really looking forward to that one.
Um, I think it was 4 weeks or something like that. He had broke his foot, and then they contacted me. It was one of the magazines to let me know that he had a broken foot. So I sent the article to Bellator, and I was like, "Yo, what's up with this?" And then that's how they ended up. We just found out too. So then they were just scrambling, trying to get me another opponent. And Brendan Gertz was actually calling out Derek Anderson in that time, so he was preparing, and he's the one who took the fight, man. So much respect to him, and I appreciate that he was able to let me put food on the table.
Is it at all ironic that you're fighting on the same card as Koreshkov?
I was kind of surprised. I figured that we'd be matched up again as soon as he was ready. But, at the same time, I could see that he's still got a good fight, but it's less of a well-roundedness there. I think it kind of favors him, where they're both evenly strikers, but he has a little bit better ground game than Chitty. So it's just going to make for a more exciting fight when we do fight, because he'll be seasoned and I'll be seasoned.
Now, obviously, you're coming off that win over Brandon Gertz. He's a super tough guy. Now, throughout your career, you're used to fighting guys way bigger than you. Was it kind of nice to fight a smaller guy for once?
Yeah, it was. But I knew with his advantage, one, he's a wrestler, so those guys are compact. So I knew he was still going to have a lot of power, and with speed comes power also. So that was just a different tool that I knew he possessed, that I was going to have to be cautious of. And he did catch me with some, but if you see it in the fight, I smiled at him and kind of let him know, like, hey, that's not enough, bud, So it was a good fight. And there's some things that played into it that made me fight the way that I did. I came out with the victory, and I'm happy with it.
No, I mean, obviously the size difference was evident, the technique as well, but did you feel the speed of a 55er in there? Was it kind of interesting to see how fast that guy was?
Yeah, but the thing was, I knew it was going to happen, so I was training with guys that were light, guys that could shoot in fast, get me down, but that's my game. I like to strike, and eventually I know they're going to try to get me to the ground. They can't handle the volume, or they just can't handle the pressure. And, they eventually go to take me down, and I see that happening again in this fight. I'll be able to get my hands on him, and he'll be looking to take me down at some point.
So now it got matched up, you and Brennan Ward, and I mean, for the hardcore fans, we don't even need to sit here and hype the fight up, but for people that might not know about you guys, I mean, how excited are you for this matchup? Because Brennan Ward's the kind of guy, he's never lost a decision. And the reason I bring that up is because he's kill or be killed, man. You know what I mean? It's going to be a real fight.
Oh, for sure. These are the kind of fights I live for, I like to go out there, show my heart, and be able to break my opponent down. So this is where I thrive the best at. When guys like this are going to come out to fight me, and I prove that I'm more skilled, and I'm just a little bit more technical than they are, and just lets me shine a little bit more. So I know with his skills and the way that he fights and the way that I fight, it's going to be exciting, and I get to showcase a little bit more of what I got.
Now, you're a fighter that's known for dragging people to deep waters and you drown them. With Brennan Ward, do you think it's going to be that situation, or do you think you might catch him early based on how wild and aggressive he is?
I never plan for anything. I honestly try to beat them up and break them down. That's my game. One, just because I know that the second time, if we ever get matched up again, it's a bigger hurdle for them to want to fight me again. anytime you go out there and you get a quick knockout or a quick submission, I mean, obviously if it's there, I'm going to take it. But it's easy for them to say, oh, I got caught, you know, and when you break somebody down mentally and physically and they actually want to quit in their head, you know what I mean? They're never going to say that, but they know they felt that little break in their head, that little voice that says it's over, chalk it up to the next one. It's a big hurdle for them to get over, and that's my style, man. I like getting them to that point and breaking them mentally so they never want to get in there and fight me again, or it's a lot harder for them to ever do it again.
Do you at all wish that some of your fights were 5 rounds? And the reason I ask is because, you know, these dudes start to slow down and you're still fighting at the same pace. It kind of reminds me of another Bellator fighter, Emmanuel Sanchez, who I think is unbelievable.
I'll do it. Honestly, if I could fight 5-round fights, I would love to, because I know for a fact I would have finished MVP. He was done with 2 more rounds. He doesn't have the gas tank for that. And with that kind of style of guy, you have to be able to drag it into deep waters to make sure that, you know, you're not rushing into something silly. You kind of have to let the fight evolve, make him have to fight you instead of just run at his punch, which a lot of guys do. So I stretched him out, and I know if I had 2 more rounds, he's done. I would have finished him. So eventually, I think Bellator is going to get to where title fights or the main events are going to be 5-round fights. And that's really where I want to be at, so I can start breaking these guys down completely and show a well mixed martial arts game. Once you start seeing the full evolution of when you beat somebody down and when you break them, that 4th and 5th round is really important for me.
Is that in the works? I mean, you think Bellator is going to actually do 5-round main events?
Eventually they will. It's just the problem with it is they're basically how UFC used to be. You would get guys that get into title contention, but all they ever did was 3-round fights, and then they always lose. You know, 4th and 5th round it's honestly, I said it before, it's like hitting a brick wall. If you've never done a 4th and 5th round, it's a whole nother ballgame when you do that. You know, it breaks you mentally. You do hear that little voice that's telling you this should have been done now. So you got to learn how to deal with that or see it before you actually get a title shot. So eventually I think they're going to have to do it so they have better fights. Otherwise, guys are going to continue to get broken in that 4th and 5th with a champion that's already seen that.
So earlier you brought up the MVP fight. Look, we all know you won the 3rd round of that fight. The first 2 rounds are what's in question. I mean, tell me about what it was like in there with him. I mean, was it simply a matter of, you know, he's running away? Were you waiting for something specifically? Just tell me about, you know, the man that was actually inside the cage.
Well, the thing was, it was a mix. They knew that they drew me out 9 months, so my timing could be a little bit off. I threw like my first couple kicks and I was a little off, so I had to circle and stay on the cage more. And Woodley had just bought Thompson, similar styles, where I knew that if I put myself in the cage, I'm in danger. But at the same time, he had to come after me to beat me. So that puts me in the position to counter him instead of him being the counter puncher. So I did that. I kept my distance, but kept it right at the end of his punch where he had to actually fight. He didn't. You know, so he was basically dancing the first round. And if you actually really count the points, the actual stuff that landed, I was outlanding him. He was throwing jabs, but everything was blocked. A lot of the stuff that he threw was blocked, and I blocked it. It was more the announcing, you know, like the outside guy watching the fight. They're hearing what they're saying and how they would fight. Oh, he needs to get in there. He needs to get him down. It's how they would fight the fight. A lot of it's because they're not strikers. You're talking about 2 commentators that are ground guys. They're not strikers, so they really don't know how to fight somebody with reach. And I do. That's my game. I like to strike, and I knew how to fight him at a distance. Plus, it was him to have to throw. He's so used to everybody running at him, he doesn't have to throw that much. So I kept him long, so he had to actually start throwing punches. By the 2nd round, he started slowing down, and I started putting the pressure on him. 3rd round, he was completely running from me. So I knew it was going to have to be like draw him out a little bit, get him tired, get him working, and I'd be able to implement my game plan. And the referee stops you in the middle of the round, tells you need to fight instead of running. Yeah, that lets you know what's going on, you know. He didn't want to fight me in that 3rd. he said his rhythm was off or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's like, dude, you had 2 rounds to get it done, to get your warming up in, and by the third you were running. And I know if we fight again, it's going to be a lot harder for him to want to say yes to take another fight with me than me to take the fight with him.
I mean, in a way, I view it as a win for you because when dudes fight MVP, they're scared before the fight even begins. You know, he makes them look like complete fools. When you were in there with him, was it at all like, oh, that's it?
No, he is dangerous. You know, I mean, he's a dangerous fighter. So I gave him the respect that he deserves. Personal stuff that he does, I don't see eye to eye with him on some of this stuff, but I always respect him as a fighter. I knew that rushed in on him, then that's where his biggest strengths are. You know, he's got that lunge punch, and he's fast. So if I just rush in like an idiot, he's gonna catch me first, and he's just got the reach. You know, so one of the ways that I can describe it is when you're fighting somebody that's all. It's basically if you're running at somebody that has a spear, you're not going to run directly at the spear. He's going to land before you can touch him. You got to make sure that distance, make him panic, make him throw that spear, avoid it, and then you can get in. You know what I mean? He's longer, so I had to make sure that he's throwing first before I just rushed in there, and that's kind of what happened. And I got longer than my arm, so I threw a lot more leg kicks. High kicks also to kind of take away that lunge punch that he normally does. And yeah, slowly but surely it started breaking him down, and he started to panic. By that third round, he was afraid, and he didn't want to fight me anymore.
Yeah, it was pretty apparent, man. Now, the champion in your weight class, Douglas Lima, this dude's a complete badass, and he's taking on Rory MacDonald. In your eyes, I mean, do you have an opinion, a prediction? How do you think that fight's going to go down?
Lima's a great fight, but I see it being very similar to when he fought, what's his name?
Koreshkov, Askren?
Askren. Sorry, Ben Askren. When he fought Askren, he kept getting taken down, overwhelmed on bottom. He's got a plan for that because that's what MacDonald's going to do. MacDonald showed in his last fight, he could have easily banged it out with Daly, but he knew where his advantages were, and that's on the ground. He didn't throw but one punch maybe, and then shot in, got him to the ground. I think he's still worried about getting cracked on his nose. You know, that panic's still a little there. So that's going to be Douglas's, or any of us that fight MacDonald, going to be our advantage. We got to put that hesitation in his head, kind of put him back in that mindset that we're gonna smash your face in if we get the opportunity, and that'll start to put the little doubt in his mind where he can lose. But you have to be well-rounded on the ground to be able to scramble, get back to your feet, and I think that's how Lima gets it done. He's got to be able to get back up. If he doesn't, he loses the fight.
So look, man, you and Brennan Ward, now on paper, everyone's saying that you two are going to stand and bang until one guy falls. However, there have been times when Brennan Ward's been known to sneak in takedowns here and there, and sometimes he doesn't come out to bang. Sometimes he comes to grind people out. Are you ready for him to try to catch you with that element of surprise?
That's all I've been training for, man. I like I said before, it's going to be very similar to Brandon Gertz fight, just with more power. He'll throw and he'll bang, but eventually he starts to wear out, and he will go to take you down. So I'm expecting an MMA fight. It's not just going to be only stand-up. He'll eventually shoot and try to get it to the ground. You know, but that's the game, man. If you have MMA, then you got to be ready to see all of that. The way he throws, even if it goes to the ground, it's going to be an exciting fight. So I don't see him trying to lay and prey on me. I see him, if he gets the takedown, he's going to look to throw elbows, punches, and try to knock me out on bottom. So I'm planning for all that. Obviously, I'm from Team Quest, and one of the best ground schools in the world. So it's not like I have a lack of guys that can do that in here and kind of give me that experience before the fight. And you know, I'm ready to go. I'm 3 weeks out, and I got 3 more weeks to improve. But I know with where I'm at right now, I could beat him.
Now, obviously, you're not looking past your opponent at all, but I know you're a guy that visualizes, and you know, when you visualize your career, man, how far away are you from that title shot?
You know, that's good. Honestly, for me, I'm just trying to get as many top guys out of the way, and once they're all gone, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're all going to be gone, and eventually I'll get my shot. You know, I think right now the way things are going, it's you can put on the best performance. So if me and Brandon go out there, put on a good show, and I get my hand raised by giving a good show, I could easily get my title shot next. You know, after MacDonald. So ain't nothing right now in Bellator. It's who can put on the best performance, who's going to sell that crowd, and get guys to watch our program, watch our fights. So that's kind of what I'm planning for. I'm getting better every single day right now. I've been able to train full time, so I know physically and what I have, I'm gonna give a good ass show, and they're gonna want me to fight for the title soon.
Definitely. Now, let me ask you your opinion on this fight, because in the featherweight division, you got the former champion, Daniel Strauss, and he's taking on Emmanuel El Matador Sanchez, and I think it's such an incredible fight. Who do you give the edge to in that one, man?
You know, like I said, all the top guys were all capable of beating each other in any weight class, the UFC or Bellator. All the guys that are at top 10, they're there for a reason. So I think the biggest thing that's going to play a factor in this is the layoffs. You know, if Emmanuel is a little bit, I think, more seasoned, he just fought in the Illinois fight. I haven't seen Strauss fight in a while, so he's going to be off a little bit. For him to kind of get settled back in the cage. But at the same time, I know this guy's never seen a fourth and fifth round. If I drag him into deep water, I can beat him. So I think Emmanuel has to get it done within those first 3 rounds before he hits that fourth and fifth round, because even if you train for it, it's a lot different once you're actually going. You're holding your breath more. You're a lot more tired, and then you're used to 3 rounds. You know, that fourth and fifth round, if you're not used to it. So I see this being a matter of who gets it done first. If Emmanuel gets it done the first 3 rounds, he wins. If Strauss gets into that fourth and fifth, I think he'll take over.
Yes, sir. Well, your fight, I believe, is going on August 25th. You and Brennan Ward. If it were up to you, how would this fight go down, man?
When I do catch him, I'll be able to get the finish. If it happens to go to the ground, and you're gonna see a very similar fight to Brendan Gertz. Back up and continuously breaking him down till I get my finish. But I honestly think I'll catch him just because of how aggressive he really is, and that's what I'm planning for. I'm planning on catching him, and when I do hurt him, I'm gonna go to finish.
Well, Fernando, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's always a pleasure, man. Let the audience know where they can follow you on social media, and any message for the fans, go ahead.
Guys, don't miss this fight. August 20th, man, it's going to be a banger, and I just want to thank all my sponsors and my friends that get me ready for this fight over here at Team Quest. So 2XL Inc., R&R, Esparza Plastering, Rock Solid Nutrition, Dr. Toy Chiropractic, Cal Fresh, Precision Tune, Precision Tune Auto Care. Sorry, it's my sticker here. And then Isaias Alvarado, my main cornerman, Tom Galicchio, and my brother Tristan Hernandez. The guys that have been helping me in here also, Ricardo Benoit, Curtis, a lot of the guys that are, I'm bad with names, so a lot of the guys that are shooting in on me constantly. And thank you guys, and I appreciate it, and we're going to go out there and get that hand raised on August 25th.
Fernando, thanks again for the time, man, and best of luck in the fight.
Anytime you guys need me, I'm here for you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, brother.